All right, diving in again with another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at something called the Satir iceberg model.
Okay.
Have you heard of this?
Yeah, am I familiar?
Yeah, so it's this really, I think, fascinating tool for understanding communication and like personal growth. And we're going to be drawing on excerpts from a book today.
Okay.
And it's by a teacher who actually uses this model in his work with students and teachers and parents.
Cool.
And yeah, it's full of like, I think, really insightful nuggets. He actually compares it to
To what?
like avoiding a Titanic-like communication disaster.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a powerful image.
Yeah, right. Because like with the Titanic, we only saw the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
We didn't see what was lurking underneath.
Exactly. And the author actually starts the book with a pretty gripping story to illustrate this danger.
Oh, tell me about it.
Okay, so picture this. A man comes home, and it's complete chaos.
Oh.
The house is a mess. There's blood everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
And his child is missing.
Oh, that's awful.
He then sees his dog covered in blood.
Oh.
So, put yourself in his shoes for a second.
Okay, yeah.
What would you think?
I mean, I'd fear the worst, I guess.
Exactly right. You'd assume the dog attacked the child.
Right, that the dog had hurt the kid.
It's a natural gut reaction based on what's visible at that moment.
Purely what you see.
Yeah, and that's precisely what the man did.
Oh, no.
Overcome with panic, he makes a tragic mistake.
What did he do?
He kills the dog.
He killed the dog.
Only to discover later that it had actually saved the child from a wolf attack.
Oh, my God.
The blood, the chaos, it was all a result of the dog protecting the child, but the man only saw the surface.
Wow.
So, yeah, heartbreaking story.
Yeah, it really highlights how, important it is to actually look beneath the surface.
Exactly.
Because things aren't always what they seem.
Not at all. And the Satir iceberg model helps us do just that. It proposes that people are like icebergs, with their behavior being just the tip.
Interesting.
Yeah, so much more underneath.
So what lies beneath the surface then? Like what's down there?
Well, the first level down is feelings.
Feelings. Okay.
Think about that man again, right? Beyond that visible chaos, what might he have been feeling?
Right. I mean, probably terror, confusion.
Yeah.
Maybe even guilt after realizing what he had done.
Absolutely. And it's not just those big dramatic emotions.
Right.
It's about recognizing the more subtle feelings we experience every day.
Like what?
Like when you feel pressured to say yes when you actually want to say no.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Or like feeling anxious about something but not wanting to admit it.
Yes, exactly. And the book highlights how often we learn to suppress those feelings.
Really?
Especially as children. There's this example of a child being forced to wear a coat when she wasn't called.
Oh.
Seems like a small thing.
Yeah.
But it reflects this bigger pattern of silencing our internal experience.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what kind of impact that has long term, Like pushing those feelings down, it doesn't just make them go away, does it?
No, not at all.
Where do they go?
They go deeper. And that leads us to the next level, feelings about feelings.
Feelings about feelings.
Yeah, we layer judgment on top of our initial emotions.
So like feeling anxious about a presentation and then feeling ashamed for feeling anxious.
Exactly.
Whoa.
Or think about winning the lottery at a funeral.
Oh.
You'd likely feel joy, but also guilt for feeling joyful in that context.
Right.
Complex.
Yeah.
And often these feelings about feelings are the ones driving our reactions more than the initial emotion itself.
So we're not even reacting to the actual feeling.
Sometimes, no.
We're reacting to our judgment of that feeling.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fascinating. So we've got feelings about feelings. What's next?
Next comes perspectives.
Okay.
Those deeply ingrained beliefs and assumptions that color how we see the world.
Okay, so like our own unique lens.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine you see someone crying in a grocery store.
Okay.
What's your immediate thought?
I don't know. I'd probably feel empathy and wonder if they need help.
Okay, someone else might judge them as weak or attention-seeking.
Right, that's true.
And those reactions come from our individual perspectives, shaped by our upbringing, culture, experiences.
That's it.
Everything.
Yeah.
It's like we're each wearing these unique pair of glasses that filter how we see the world.
I like that.
Yeah.
But often we forget we're even wearing them.
We do.
The author talks about how these ingrained perspectives often come from like family rules and societal norms we've internalized without even realizing it.
Absolutely.
Like in that example with the child in the coat, maybe the parent had a perspective that, showing vulnerability is bad or something.
Exactly. And without examining those underlying perspectives, we're likely to keep reacting in ways that don't actually serve us.
Okay, so feelings about feelings, perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
What else is on this iceberg?
Well, the next level is all about expectations.
Expectations. Okay.
We all have them, right?
Right.
About how people should behave, how events should unfold.
How our day should go.
Even how our day should go.
Yeah.
And when those expectations are met, things feel smooth. But when they're not, things get rocky.
Things get rocky.
Like when you expect your favorite restaurant to be open and it's closed.
Right. Huge disappointment.
Exactly. Disappointment.
Yeah.
And, it's not just those little everyday disappointments.
All right.
The book emphasizes how these deeply held expectations, especially about ourselves and others, can be a major source of conflict and unhappiness.
So not just being bummed about a closed restaurant, but holding on to expectations like, my partner should know what I'm thinking, or I should be able to handle everything perfectly.
Right.
I shouldn't need help.
Yeah, and often the expectations causing us the most pain are the ones we're not even consciously aware of.
Right. They're just there.
They're just operating in the background, shaping our reactions.
Wow, this is all making me think about how much miscommunication stems from simply not understanding the other person's iceberg, we're reacting to their behavior, but we're missing all these hidden levels that are driving that behavior.
Absolutely, and that's why the next level is so crucial. Yearnings.
Yearnings, okay.
These are those universal human needs that we all share.
Okay.
Like the need for connection, purpose, meaning.
The author specifically mentions yearning for love, acceptance, freedom, and even just feeling like we belong.
Yeah, it makes sense that unmet yearnings could lead to all sorts of issues.
Right. It's like having this deep well inside that needs filling.
Yeah.
And if it's not filled, we just feel empty.
You can end up feeling lost, empty, desperate.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that desperation can lead us to all sorts of unhealthy coping mechanisms.
Absolutely.
Like trying to fill that void with work or shopping or substances.
Exactly. Yeah. And until we address those unmet yearnings at their root, those quick fixes will never truly satisfy.
Oh, this is really interesting.
Yeah.
So we've got feelings about feelings, perspectives, expectations, and yearnings. That's like this whole hidden world beneath the surface.
It is.
But I'm sensing there's still more to this iceberg.
There is.
What's at the very core of it.
That's where we get to the deepest level of all, the self.
The self.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
So what exactly is the self in this model?
Yeah.
And how does it impact everything else?
That's a great question. And it's actually where we'll pick up in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Welcome back. We left off talking about the deepest level of the Satir iceberg model, the self.
Yeah. And just like with a real iceberg, those deepest parts are the most crucial for understanding the whole thing.
So what exactly is the self in this context? The author describes it as our life force,
right? Which
sounds, I don't know, kind of powerful.
It is powerful.
Almost mystical.
Yeah. But not in a supernatural sense or anything. Think of it more as the essence of who you are at your core, your values, your passions, your innate potential,
Gotcha.
It's the source of your vitality, your authenticity.
Okay, I'm starting to get a sense of it.
Yeah.
But how does the self relate to all those other levels of the iceberg we talked about?
Right.
How does it impact our feelings, perspectives, all of that?
Imagine a sunflower.
Okay.
The self is like the seed at the center.
Okay.
The source from which everything else grows.
Yeah.
Your feelings, perspectives, expectations, yearnings, they all stem from this core self.
So the self isn't just another layer.
Right.
It's like the foundation, the base.
Yeah, the foundation upon which the whole iceberg is built.
And understanding this level is key to, congruence, right?
Yes, congruence. The author emphasizes that concept a lot.
Right, congruence. Remind me again what that means.
Congruence is basically about being in alignment with your true self.
Okay.
It's when your actions and thoughts and feelings are all flowing from that authentic core.
So, if you're genuinely excited about something and you express that excitement openly, that's congruent.
Exactly. Yeah. Think about how good that feels,
It does.
To just be yourself.
Yeah.
Without any pretense.
That's awesome in theory,
Yeah.
But how often are we actually congruent, really?
Right.
It seems like life throws so many curveballs at us that make it hard to stay aligned with our true selves.
It's true. It's definitely a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
But becoming aware of the self and its influence on everything definitely helps us move towards greater congruence.
Okay, so we've got this detailed map of the human iceberg now.
We do.
With the self at its heart.
Right.
How do we actually use this in our daily lives? Like, how do we unlock the icebergs in ourselves and others, to communicate more effectively?
The book points to one key tool. Genuine curiosity.
Curiosity, really?
I know, it sounds almost too simple.
Yeah.
But think about it. When you approach a situation with curiosity, you're open to learning, understanding, and seeing things from different angles.
It's like being a detective.
Yeah.
Gathering clues about the whole iceberg, not just the tip.
Exactly. And the author actually shares a story about how his own communication style was totally transformed by a Satir therapist named John Beyman.
Oh, interesting.
Beyman was like a master of curious questioning.
Okay.
He didn't offer solutions or judgments. He just asked questions.
What kind of questions?
Questions that help people explore their own inner landscapes. And uncover their own insights.
And that's the key difference, isn't it?
It is.
Curiosity isn't about fixing people or imposing your own views.
Yeah.
It's about creating a space for, genuine exploration and discovery.
Exactly. And the book gives specific tips for practicing curiosity.
Like what?
Okay, well, first, resist the urge to give answers.
Okay.
Don't preach, and don't jump into problem-solving mode.
That's hard. It's like we're programmed to do the opposite.
I know, right? We want to fix things, offer advice, have the right answer.
Totally.
But think about a time when someone genuinely listened to you without judgment, just trying to understand.
Oh, yeah.
How did that feel?
It felt amazing.
Right.
Validated, seen, heard. It makes such a difference.
That's the power of curiosity.
Wow.
It disarms defensiveness and allows for deeper connection.
So instead of offering solutions, what should we do?
Ask questions.
Okay,
what's important to you about this? Or how are you feeling about all of this?
It's a subtle shift, but it feels so different,
It is. You're not imposing your perspective.
Right.
You're inviting the other person to share theirs.
Okay, so that's the theory. But how do we actually put this into practice? How do we use these curious questions to navigate, the complexities of real-life situations?
Let's take an example from the book.
Okay.
A child who's constantly begging for more playtime.
Okay.
Even when it's time for homework.
All right, I've been there.
Instead of immediately saying no or lecturing about responsibilities, what could a parent do?
Well, using the iceberg model, they could start by exploring the child's feelings.
Yeah.
How do you feel when it's time to stop playing and do homework?
Great. And then to understand their perspective. What are your thoughts about homework? What's it like for you?
What do you think will happen if you don't finish your homework?
Yes.
Are you worried about something?
You're getting it.
And to get to those deeper yearnings,
yeah.
What is it about playtime that you love so much?
Yes.
What are you hoping for when you ask for more time to play?
I love how these questions don't just address the surface behavior,
Right.
They help the child and the parent understand what's driving it.
Yeah.
And you don't even need to have the answer or a perfect solution.
Really?
Just asking those questions with genuine curiosity can lead to greater awareness and positive shifts.
This reminds me of that Titanic analogy. By exploring the whole iceberg, we avoid crashing into those hidden dangers.
Exactly.
And we navigate communication more skillfully.
It's a powerful metaphor. And just like with the Titanic,
yeah,
ignoring what's beneath the surface can have disastrous consequences.
Okay, I'm ready to apply this to my own life.
Good.
Let's say I'm feeling frustrated because a coworker didn't complete their part of a project.
Okay, yeah.
Leaving me with extra work. How can I use the iceberg model to understand this situation better?
Perfect example.
Yeah.
First, acknowledge your feelings. You said you're frustrated. Where do you feel that frustration in your body?
Well, I feel this tightness in my chest.
Okay.
And my shoulders are really tense. It's a knot of anxiety.
Okay, so you're noticing those physical sensations. Now, what are the thoughts or judgments you have about this situation?
Honestly, I'm judging my coworker for being irresponsible.
Okay.
And I feel resentful that I have to pick up their slack.
So there's judgment and resentment. Now, what are your expectations in this scenario? What did you expect to happen that didn't?
I expected them to communicate with me if they were struggling to meet the deadline. I feel like there was a lack of respect for my time.
So unmet expectations and a perceived lack of respect are adding to your frustration. What about your yearnings in this situation? What needs of yours aren't being met?
I think I'm yearning for fairness and collaboration. I want to feel like a valued member of the team, not someone who's constantly cleaning up messes.
Those are valid yearnings.
Yeah.
Now, this is a key question. If you were to connect with your deepest self, the part of you that's wise and compassionate, how might that shift your perspective on this situation?
That's a really good question. It makes me realize that maybe my coworker is struggling with something I'm not aware of. Maybe they're dealing with a personal issue or feeling overwhelmed.
And that shift in perspective, that opening to possibility, is the magic of curiosity. You're not condoning their actions, but you're moving beyond judgment to understand the fuller picture.
It's like that saying, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle.
Yeah, we often just see the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
Not the weight of what's beneath.
And that's where the Satir iceberg model becomes such a powerful tool for communication and personal growth.
Yes.
It reminds us to look beyond behavior and connect with the whole person.
Exactly.
This has been so insightful, but I'm wondering, how does this all tie back to that concept of congruence we talked about earlier?
That's a great question, and a perfect segue to the final part of our deep dive.
So we've really explored this Satir iceberg model.
We have.
From those feelings and perspectives, all the way down to those yearnings and that core self at the center.
Yeah, like skilled divers.
Right.
We've learned to navigate those depths.
Yeah.
And see all those hidden influences that are shaping how we communicate.
It's amazing.
It is.
Truly a game changer. But I'm still a little curious about how this all connects back to that idea of congruence we talked about.
Okay.
Yeah, do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
We were talking about it earlier.
Yeah, well, think about those moments when you're feeling totally out of sync, you know? Like when you're saying yes to something, but you actually really want to say no.
Oh, yeah.
Or you're putting on a happy face when you're actually feeling down.
Right.
Those are examples of incongruence.
Yeah, it's like that feeling of wearing a mask.
Exactly. Like you're not being true to yourself.
You're not being yourself.
Yeah, and the Satir model helps us understand why we do that, you know?
Why do we?
It's often a protective mechanism.
Okay.
Maybe we're afraid of conflict or rejection or judgment.
Right.
So we hide parts of ourselves to feel safe.
And the author mentions that those protective mechanisms often stem from, what does he call it? Lies we tell ourselves.
Yeah, lies.
Not intentional lies, right?
Right. More like limiting beliefs that we've picked up along the way.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, and those beliefs, you know, they might have helped us cope at some point.
Right.
But now they can actually hold us back.
From what?
From living authentically and connecting deeply with others.
It's like we're, I don't know, stuck in the shallow end of the pool.
Okay.
Because we're too afraid to dive into the deeper water, you know?
Yeah, I love that analogy.
Oh.
And the Satir iceberg model gives us the tools to explore those deeper waters safely.
So how do we do that? How do we uncover those hidden lies and start living more congruently?
It starts with that same tool we've been talking about, curiosity.
Okay.
Turn that curiosity inward and start asking yourself questions.
Okay, like what?
What am I afraid of?
No.
What beliefs are holding me back? What do I really want deep down?
Wow, okay.
It's like becoming an investigator of your own inner world.
I like that.
The author even suggests looking back at key moments in your life and asking, what story did I create about myself in that situation? Is that story still true for me today?
Yeah, because often those old stories aren't serving us anymore.
Exactly. They're like outdated maps.
Right.
Leading us in the wrong direction.
This makes me think of that quote by Anais Nin. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom.
Oh, I love that quote.
It's so true, right? It's like we have to be willing to let go of those old stories and embrace the fullness of who we are.
Beautifully put. And that's where the Satir model becomes more than just a communication tool, you know?
A bit more than that.
It becomes a path to, like, personal growth and transformation.
Wow. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Satir iceberg model, I'd love to leave our listeners with a question.
Okay.
What lies might you be telling yourself that are preventing you from living more congruently? What stories are holding you back from expressing your true self?
It's a great question to ponder.
Yeah.
And remember, that journey of self-discovery, it's ongoing, you know? It's not about achieving some perfect state of congruence.
Right.
It's about continually exploring your own iceberg, challenging those old stories, and embracing the full depth and complexity of who you are.
So keep diving deep Keep asking those curious questions and keep uncovering those hidden truths that will set you free.
Because when we live congruently, we don't just communicate more effectively, we live more authentically.
And connect more deeply with ourselves.
And the world around us.
This was awesome. Thanks for joining me for another deep dive.
My pleasure. Always great to chat with you.